All right, so a lot has been occurring since I've been a little bit away, but on top of that is Delicia trying to see if she can find some things out, and let's get into it. Let's go.
So I was thinking about what we
Mm-hmm.
talked about earlier, and you and I really haven't had the conversation about like the emotional aspect of it, like your mindset when it was going on. Like, did you feel like any regret, or did you feel hurtful? Did you feel like what you were doing was wrong when you were doing it?
Interesting. Notice that Delicia is asking all of these questions now. This is one of the reasons why I flag people around Shayla. They never ask these questions until they get in the same circumstance, and all of a sudden, them want to ask all of this. Me, I would have been asking these questions from day one. Why was the intention for this? What was the intention for this? Why were you doing? But because they're the same, she's now asking this simply because she's in kind of somewhat of the same boat.
What do you mean? Me and Anthony or?
Yeah, you and Anthony. Like, did you feel it was wrong while you were doing it to Amber being your friend?
If I'm being honest, at the time when me and Anthony were dealing with each other, we were really in love. So I don't think love is ever wrong.
You guys are really in love, or you were in love with Anton at the point in time. Okay, all right.
And when it just comes to feelings and emotions, of course, feelings aren't facts, but at the time, it really felt like I was with the person I was supposed to be with.
Even though you knew what was going on, you knew you weren't supposed to be doing it, you knew the feeling of your friend, you still were doing it. I love that she's giving Delicia this playbook. Pay attention, Delicia.
Regardless of how it looked to the world, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that I do regret is playing in Amber's face when I should have just kept it real with her and been honest about what I was feeling, what was going on, and I dropped the ball on that, and I wasn't a good friend to her. But as far as how I felt about Anthony, it felt right. Like that was what I was supposed to do, and that's...
Hold on right there, sir. So, in other words, she does not regret the mere fact that this is a man that is actively married. She really don't care about that. It's because it was Amber. That's why she cared. In other words, then, she would have been perfectly fine if she did not knew Amber. She never knew Amber at all. What she's saying about this particular married man should have been perfectly fine with. And again, I think I've given enough time to understand what I was saying this morning. That it was all fake. Apologizing to Amber is fake because the truth of the matter is you'd have still done it anyways. You would have still gone off of a married man anyways. You're not really sorry for the entire situation. You're just upset that you got caught in the middle of all y'all's friendship. That's all it is.
Supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, I feel that. I feel like God makes no mistakes. So I feel you on that. Like,
And I don't want to put God in it because I think as humans, we're selfish. So we're putting our own self-interest and how we feel emotionally ahead of like what's actually right. But when you're in your feelings, it doesn't make sense.
yeah, but when I say God makes no mistakes, it's almost like God placed Anthony into your life for a reason, and Kai being that reason. I feel like everything happened for a reason, and Kai is a blessing. So I feel you. Like when you love who you love, it's almost like it's meant to be during that moment.
In other words, Delicia is sitting and justifying. So they're saying that God is doing all of this. In other words, okay, based on Delicia's explanation, what Delicia is saying that God is the one that would have been in the Garden of Eden tempting, Adam and Eve with the apple. Based on what Delicia is saying, God placed the apple in the garden. so that, Adam and Eve could eat it, you know what I mean? So them could do whatever it is that they wanted to do. That's basically what Delicia is saying. And I don't believe that fallacy at all. I think she's 110% wrong. There is no way. I think she's wrong. So don't bother come with that. Please, me know now come with it. Don't bother with it. Stop. Stop. The people that are going to call O'Neill a hater, don't come with that. It's not God that made Shayla did what she did. It's the power of choice that Shayla did what she did. What I'm trying to do now is to whitewash. So now what Delicia is trying to do is to use whatever Shayla is telling her, use God and infuse that together and make themselves right. And this is something that people have started to do. No, you're doing it on your own volition. Now you had the lesson to learn. And you want to learn that particular lesson. If you want to date Iman, go and date Iman because you want to see the karma, but don't use God. Please.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, you apologizing to Amber is very big of you, but
I owe her that for sure, because the way I treated her as a friend, that's a relationship too. Like friendships matter also.
yeah.
And that just wasn't right how I did her. But as far as how I felt for Anthony, that actually felt right.
Right.
So I just, should have went about it another way. And now I can't take it back. But
I feel you on that. I do. I commend you though for being a bigger person now and apologizing and asking for forgiveness because that's important.
So you're trying to use one person to whitewash the other person, friends. It's not going to work. I'm sorry to tell you outright, as it not going to work. It's just a bunch of fake people oozing fakeness around each other. Look, the two women are the same, and that's why after a period of time, I'm like, might as well Iman just does what he's doing. They're both savage. They are both savage and are women that likes men that other men have. That's who they are. Them can call it anything else at this point in time. That's who they are. Yeah, that's the idea of what's going on. Delicia is using whatever Shayla has told her to justify it. Again, it's the same Amber scenario, but you know what? I don't mind. I honestly don't mind because at least Shayla gets a taste of her own medicine. At least somewhat. Somewhat. Now, the difference with this one is that Anthony was a married man, which means Shayla had a respect for number one, marriage. Them actively married. They're actively married. She doesn't respect for them active marriage. They're actively in a relationship. In other words, they lived together. What are we talking about? Put the friendship aside. The people lived together. They lived in the same house. That's what she's telling you. But hey, give me a steak, like, share, comment, subscribe, talk to you all soon.